Well, good evening and welcome to the Arbor Hills Nature Preserve in Plano, Texas. Tonight's exercise is a field test of the Klarus XT2CR Pro. I want to thank Klarus for sending me this light and making the review possible. Now, this is marketed as a compact tactical light. Okay, I think we can see the compact part, 18650 base, extremely light, fits well in the hand. You have the dual tail cap controls, on off, output levels, low, medium, high, turbo, and direct strobe. On the front end, you've got the nice strike bezel, so I think we can see some of the more traditional tack features. And you're expecting a but, aren't you? But here's my reservation. Okay, 2100 lumen peak output, that's pretty decent. However, it's less than 15,000 peak candela. And my personal belief, and this is just my personal belief based on decades of use, many years in search and rescue, is that if you're talking about a tack light, I prefer something that has a pretty significant downrange punch. I do want a reasonable compromise between throw and field of view, but I tend to like something that's much higher peak candela, at least double what you have here. So my feeling when I first started looking at the light was that it was more along the lines of a hybrid between a high-end EDC and a tack light. And the reason I say that is because it has a UI and form factor that is along the lines of a smaller tack light, but it has a beam output that I would say is more in line with a modern high-end EDC. So what is it really? Is it a compact tactical flashlight, or is it kind of a hybrid or in between a typical high-end tack light and a high-end EDC? Well, that's why we do field testing. And you're probably thinking, maybe I should quit babbling and get out there in the field and start running the test. Well, as I've said before, you want it, you got it. This is the bridge where I normally do a lot of initial output level tests. It's a darker area than most out here at the preserve. Maximum line of sight, about 35 yards or so. And this is my search and rescue headlamp in 1,000 lumen flood. I just want to provide some standards for comparison, and this is a relatively neutral light. Now I'll be running the Klarus tonight in the factory default tactical mode. I've reviewed a number of Klarus lights and talked about tactical versus outdoor. Very quickly, in case this is your first time with a Klarus review, tactical is a very simple turbo first mode. No matter what output level you were in previously, your first click on, you're in turbo. So I suppose you could say that you have off direct to turbo, but there is no on direct to turbo, and successive clicks of the output level switch runs the cycle down, high, medium, and then low. All right, well, let's see what it looks like. And there we are in turbo. At this distance, more than enough punch to get back deep into the far tree lines. So there is high, medium, and low. Now let's go see what it looks like in a more light polluted, wide open area. This is a much more wide open area. We're kind of a top of a rise. It completely exposed to all the light pollution from the surrounding city. There's a road barely 50 yards or so to my left, lots of street lights. And this is my search and rescue headlamp in 2000 lumen spot. Now, if you look at that gap between the trees straight ahead, there's a far tree line that's 55, 60 yards from this position. And with the surrounding light pollution, I can get a little bit of detail. I can tell that it's there. I certainly can't punch through it. Now, this particular light has just a couple 3,000 more peak candela, although slightly less lumen output than the Klarus. Now let's look at the exact same area with the Klarus Turbo only. Okay, there we go. If I didn't know that there was a second tree line back there, it might be a little bit hard to tell any detail. So that shows you just what a couple 3,000 additional candela can do for you. Although you can see as I rotate the iPhone, I have a bit wider beam. Now I want to show you one more thing, again for comparative purposes. This is the PowerTac M5G3 in turbo, just barely over 2,000 peak lumens, but well over 10,000 additional candela. Now, I don't know how things will show up on the iPhone, but I can definitely see detail in that far tree line. And if I get the angle just right, even with the particulates in the air, I can see some detail and even inside branches. So again, that'll kind of give you, this is a better idea of what I would expect from a compact light. It's 18650 based, very similar form factor to the Klarus. Okay, you're doing some night hiking, exploring. This is the only light that you have, so we're following a very simple concrete path here. Oh, but you know me, I always like to get off the path. So let's head out over here. We're in medium output level. And I have to be a little bit careful because I have to watch where I'm going. I can't do that and film very well at the same time. So let's see how well I do. Let's kind of take a look around. Oh yeah, let's go see what's down in here. That's what exploring is all about. Good news, it's now getting cold enough. I don't think I have to worry about snakes. And just as soon as I say that, Marvin Moccasin decides he wants to have his say, but hopefully that won't happen. And oh yeah, there's the creek level, and for those keeping score at home, you can't see it, but right about there is the bridge. That's where I filmed the first set of output level tests. Which way do you want to go? What was that, left? All right. Your wish is my command. And so let's get down in here, and lots of run time with this. So if you're doing this type of night hiking and exploration, you may really like this output level. So for me, the low output level is possibly only useful in tracking. I've got my headlamp on 100 lumen flood, and then I've got the Klarus on low, very close to the ground. I'm trying to just generate a little bit of extra contrast. I'd probably like to have a little bit more punch in this mode. I've got a number of other lights I use for tracking, and this is okay, but it's just okay. Now this is where you might actually like a on to turbo. Let's act like we're on one of those expedition shows and really go, oh, what was that? Okay, now I'm lucky here in TAC mode that if I need to light that up downrange quickly, turbo is just one click away. If I'm in medium or low, turbo is a single or double click. I'm kind of out of luck if I'm in high. I got a triple click. You got to remember that. So there's turbo, then now there's down to high. Let me get up here and let's just kind of pan around here and take another look in high. In fact, let me go back over here, and while I'm at it, I'm going to turn my headlamp completely off. Okay, so this is the position where I normally film out over the creek. You've probably seen this before. That's okay, but just okay. And then as we turn out here, you've seen this before. Not bad, but it was like I was saying in the intro, this doesn't impress me as a tack style beam. This is more along the lines of maybe a mid to high end EDC. All right, well, let's go look at a turbo burn down. All right, since this is not a thrower, I'm running the turbo burn down in a more close range setting, maximum line of sight beyond that far tree, maybe on the order of about 60 yards, 65 perhaps. And I'm already noticing some heat buildup in the head area of the light. Nothing uncomfortable though. All right, well, let's just pan back and forth. I seem to recall from the documentation the step down goes to about 2 minutes, so I'll run this at least 2 to 3 minutes. Heat is remaining pretty consistent. Nothing I'm really worried about. And we're coming up on the 1.5 minute mark. So as we pass 2 minutes here, I think you saw just a very nice gradual ramp down. Now theoretically we should be in more or less a steady state for a while. So let's let this run to about 3.5. And that is over 3 minutes sustained in turbo. So this is one of the areas I like to run the how well does it work with a headlamp test. My XT2CR headlamp is in 400 lumen flood. That's comparable to the max output of a lot of high-end hiking headlamps that you see in sporting goods stores. Path and trees in front of me. Can't really see inside the trees. If there was something rustling in there, or maybe I caught some eye shine, I've got no chance of getting any details. So let's bring the Klarus in. Okay. Yeah, turbo for sure getting the job done. There's high. Okay. Headlamp by itself, and then with the Klarus on high. Drop down to medium. Yeah, high is the level that you would want to use. So hopefully that shows you what you're up against. Well, you may have seen this before, and you're right, it's wrap-up time. This is my headlamp, an 800 lumen spot, maximum line of sight over 55 yards. Let me get this off and bring the Klarus in. Okay, there we are in turbo. In terms of using the light, just the quality and the way the switches work, absolutely top notch. For me personally, and this is just my personal assessment, and of course it's biased from my use in search and rescue. If I'm looking at a tack light, I don't care what the form factor is. I want something that provides me with the capability of making identifications beyond the range of my headlamp. I just prefer something that has a lot more downrange punch to it. Okay, let's drop into high as I pan around. It does kind of work with a headlamp. So if you're used to using a headlamp with hiking and you want this for dual use by itself or with the headlamp, as long as you use that high output level, you're okay. For me, high is a bit too underpowered. I almost think that if you could take the output levels in candela from that PowerTac M5 G3, maybe bump the candela up just a little bit and put it in this form factor and UI, yeah, that would be winner, winner, chicken dinner. Still impresses me as more of a hybrid between a tack light and an EDC. I don't know, maybe that's the role or the niche for this light. If you run larger tack lights, you like that dual tail cap operation, and you want your EDC to have a more traditional EDC style beam, but maintain that tack style UI, well, this may very well be the droid you're looking for. I don't know. I can't make the decision for you. I can only frame it. Remember, I don't make recommendations or push products. I'm just a bozo who gets out here, hangs with the wild animals, and runs the test. And on that happy note, I'm going to shut it down for tonight. And as always, until the next review, thank you very much for your time, and thank you for watching the video.